So hello everybody and welcome. My name is Oliver and I'll be your host for today's session. Today we are lucky enough to be joined by 8 different universities, and this session is all about my life as a university student. So how this session is going to run is we've got a little bit of time to get introduced by each of the universities, a quick 5-minute intro, talking a bit about their institution, maybe a little bit about themselves and what makes their university special. On top of that, we've then got a whole Q&A period where we've got 2 questions each for each of the universities, asking a little bit more of things around accommodation, what you can do as extracurricular activities, and all things about that student life sphere. Today's session is being recorded, so if you've got any sort of family members, guardians, friends who aren't actually able to attend today, this will be available on our website, studentstream.co.uk, in probably around a week's time, but we'll make sure if you have been registered that we'll be sending you all of this information after. So the 8 institutions that we are lucky enough to be joined by are the University of Leeds, East Anglia, Keele, the University of Plymouth, Southampton, Glasgow, Cardiff University and Stirling. So they're giving us presentations on key aspects of university life, including accommodation, money management, campus life, and the transition from secondary school to university. So it's enough of me speaking now, guys. If you do have any questions related about this webinar, or possibly even to an individual from one of the universities, please do fire away in the Q&A function that we do have at the bottom. We are also lucky enough to be joined by a few student recruitment officers. So if you do have anything in regards to grades and things, they should be able to answer. However, it would be good if you could keep all questions related to student life, as that is what this session is on. So passing over now, I'm going to be starting with my first introduction, where I'm lucky enough to be joined by the University of Keele, and I'll be joined by Soham. So over to you, Soham.
Hi, my name is Soham. So from the University of Keele, we have one of the largest campuses in the UK at 625 acres, which is actually why I chose the uni, because it's such a beautiful campus and there's so many things to do around there. So a lot of running, a lot of cycling. Anyway, going on to the question, which is the transition from secondary school to university life. So firstly, this can be quite a terrifying experience for lots of people, but for some, it's also quite a fun time. Firstly, the transition involves being a lot more independent. So, for instance, simply shopping. You're no longer shopping with your parents. You're shopping by yourself. You're managing your own finances. You're paying for your own food. And for example, at Keele, we have a co-op on campus. So every week, going to co-op and writing our own shopping lists and just getting into the habit of doing that. Secondly, the transition will involve a lot more self-directed learning. So as opposed to secondary school, where we're offered a lot more help from teachers, as with all universities, you get less of that, only because we have to delve deeper into our own research and practice our research skills. So at Keele, we have an extensive library with so many materials. We have a whole med school, so if you're studying medicine, you're able to go to your certain area and look at materials. So if you are transitioning, don't be scared by the fact that you'll have less support, because you'll find stuff and you'll be able to self-study and self-research. Another thing is also uni timetables aren't really the same as in school. So in school, maybe you'd wake up at 7 o'clock and you'd go to your 9 a.m. lesson, whereas at uni, you might have a 1 p.m. lecture one day, a 3 p.m. lecture one day. So it could be quite challenging if maybe you haven't practiced those kind of time management skills, but eventually you'll get used to it, especially after the first week, and especially after freshers, you'll get into the habit of kind of being a bit sporadic with your lecture and going to different ones. Additionally, the uni life in general, you're offered a new world of new experiences. So there's societies that you can join, there's clubs that you can join. For example, at Keele, there's over 250 clubs and societies, I think, that you can join. So if you're worried about maybe making new friends, you can join that. Whereas in secondary school, you don't really have that flexibility. But in uni, you can make a lot more friends, you can meet a lot more people from all over the world, especially if there's international students. you'll meet a lot more people, and maybe people you'll get on with more. So if you didn't get on with people at your secondary school, you're guaranteed to find people at your university because of how many people there are. And then finally, transitioning from secondary school to uni life also involves learning new life skills. It's as simple as cooking. So at home, of course, you'll be your parents cooking maybe. At uni, you'll learn how to become a chef. You'll be in the kitchen quite a lot. I mean, some students do order online, but I would say don't do that, but learn how to cook yourself. And it will also help manage your finances. So definitely do that. Learn how to cook and you'll be set for the whole year. But yeah, it's all about personal growth at university, learning who you are, learning what you enjoy. And the transition is essentially is all of that, learning what you enjoy the most, what you're good at, what you're not good at, embarking on a new journey. Secondary school was quite limited, so that's my summary.
Thank you very much for that introduction. So I'm to the University of Keele and also answering that first question about the transition from secondary school to university. So to move on now, we're going to be passing over to the University of Glasgow, where we'll be joined by Harriet. She's going to give us a quick introduction and also answer about accommodation and different options and how it is allocated and things like that. Just a quick one before I let you start, Harriet. I just wanted to mention to those who have joined us that we have got a Q&A function at the bottom. So any questions to any of these guys or more generically about university in general and what life's actually like, please do fire away as we've got lots of helping hands. So enough of me speaking and over to you, Harriet.
Hi, I'm Harriet and I'm from the University of Glasgow and I'll be talking to you a bit about accommodation. So I'll just go and share my slides with you guys. Okay, well, I'll talk a little bit about accommodation. But at the University of Glasgow, we have about 8 undergraduate accommodations which are available to students. 7 of those are self-catered. So that means that you have to go and make the food yourself, as you were talking about earlier. And then one of our accommodations is catered accommodation, which is Wolfson Hall, which is by the medical school campus, veterinary school, I mean. And for all of those accommodations, they are available to undergraduate students. And for those, we make sure that we separate postgraduate students from undergraduate students for that experience. When you're applying to those accommodations itself, you go and put it on a preference list. So you get 6 in total, with your first choice being the one that you most prefer and your 6th choice being your least preferred option. And you get to go and choose if you want a single room, a double room for that, or if you want an ensuite or a non-ensuite. And you can also choose if you want self-catered versus catered accommodation. For that one as well, you can also choose if you want to go and have a twin room. So that's where you share with someone else, and that's our most economical option. And there's a price range for accommodations per week, going from around £155 per week to just over £200 a week. And that depends on what amenities you want. Now, the good thing about most of the accommodation at the university is that it's a walking distance from campus. So that means it's either kind of a 5-minute walk away if you're to the south of the university, up to a 25-minute walk away. And there's bus routes that are available with all of them as well, in case you don't want to walk, because there are some mornings where you have early morning lectures and you really don't want to have to go and do more work than needed. For that, the only exception that we do have is that for Wolfson Hall, which is based in our veterinary campus, that's about a 35 to 40-minute walk away. So for that, public transport is much more common. If you're a veterinary student as well, that would be the ideal accommodation to be staying at because it's within the vet campus too. Outside of that, we have a few policies for accommodation. So the main one is that if you are in clearing, we make sure that we have places reserved at our accommodation so that you have a place to stay. And if you are coming in to study at the University of Glasgow and you put it as your first choice, whether it's firm or unconditional offer, then accommodation is guaranteed. Usually for accommodation as well, we have students stay there in first year, and then when you go into second year, that's when you go and move either into private accommodation or accommodation with friends. So we usually only offer it in first year. But if accommodation is something that you are interested in, you can go and look onto our website where we talk about fees and how much it costs, as well as going and comparing the different facilities as well. So all the information is at glasgow.ac.uk/accommodation for that.
Thank you very much for that, Harriet, and giving us a little bit more information about accommodation at the University of Glasgow. So moving across now to another Scottish university where we'll be joined by the University of Stirling, and we'll be talking with Greg. And Greg's going to give us a little bit more information on study in Scotland. And over to you, Greg, whenever you're ready.
So hi, I'm Greg. I'm at the University of Stirling. I've just finished my second year, so I'll be going into my third year in September, and I'm studying English. So one of the main differences about degrees in Scotland is that it's a full. So the main reason for that is because Scottish universities, including Stirling, have what's called a flexible degree structure. So this applies to most university courses, but excludes sort of vocational courses, so things like law, medicine, veterinary, nursing, paramedic, all that sort of thing. But what the flexible degree structure is in your first and second year, you'll only have maybe one compulsory module for your subjects. So if you're like me, you've chosen English. You have.
I think we might have lost Greg there. I think his connection was a little bit poor. So what we're going to do is I'll try and get in contact with him. But for the time being, we're actually going to move forward. And we're actually going to move on to speaking with the University of East Anglia, where we were speaking with Dara. So over to you, Dara, and you're going to be speaking a little bit more about the life on campus.
Thank you, Oliver. So just share the screen out and hopefully you'll be able to. Okay. So my name is Dara. I'm going to talk a little bit about life on campus, specifically at the University of East Anglia. So I've just finished my first year and I study creative writing and English literature. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about life. A big part of life on campus are the curriculum. So UEA have so many societies, and I really do think that joining one of these extracurriculars can be such a good way to fill your. So I know that in my first couple of weeks in first, I was really surprised by how much free time I had and how many things there were to do, especially on campus. So what I would really recommend, and my biggest piece of advice to any student, is to things that you love, things that you enjoy doing, whether that's extracurricular, sport. So we have so many societies, really, really specific ones too. If it's not an interest that you have, then this is your great opportunity to find a new one. So now I'll talk a little bit about UEA type. So one of the things that I was to join a sports club, because at UEA, a big part of UEA are the and sports clubs that we have. And every year they all have taste sessions to join. You can try it out, see what you like, see what you don't like. And so I decided to join a club, which has probably been one of the best decisions I've made. So here we have just a couple of pictures of my time during UEA Taekwondo. The opportunity to meet so many new people, make so many new, and learn a lot of different skills that I didn't think could be learned. We went to competitions. I've had the opportunity to there's a lot of leadership involved as well. So I would really recommend to make the most of these extracurriculars and use them to fill your time, because truly UEA campus life is so vibrant and enriching, and there's so many amazing opportunities to take up. That. And another part of campus life for me is part-time work. So I know normally you would think of part-time work as just another way to earn some money, which of course it is true, but I really do feel at UEA, any part-time work that you do on campus it really does help you feel more connected to the actual university. So I'm a student ambassador, which means I get to help out in so many events on campus. Sometimes they're off campus too. And I get to do webinars like this. I get to do so many different events that range from outreach. These are from high schools, primary schools, sixth forms, and I get to work really closely with the we go on higher education fairs. So there's really so much variety in part-time jobs at UEA. And I really do believe it can help you feel so much more connected to the university because you're involved in so many of their events. So it's a big part of campus life. And I do encourage anyone to join it. It is a way to earn some extra money, but I think it's so much more than that. You gain so many different skills as well. An example I always talk about is I had the opportunity to be sort of like a presenter panelist for the open day. So it meant that I was presenting with another ambassador by myself to a lecture theatre filled with 500 people. And it was really, really scary. It was an opportunity I had never thought of doing before because I hated public speaking. But as an ambassador getting to do this work, I had the opportunity to do it, and it was genuinely so fun and enriching. So my biggest piece of advice, final note, is make the most of everything that whatever university you choose to has to offer. Specifically, UEA has so many clubs, societies. We have a lot of part-time work, and fill your time with all of these things because your time at university is quite small. It goes by really, really quickly. So make the most of it. Make the most of your campus life. I've got a QR code here so you can sign up to receive any more information about your subject, application advice, on-campus events. So if you want to scan that or take a picture of it, you can do. But that's all from me. So I will pass on to Oliver now. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for that, Dara, and that really great information about what life on campus is and how your life actually looks on campus. So thank you again for that. Passing it over now, we'll be speaking with the University of Cardiff. Just to let you know, Greg, we will come back to you at the end. I know there's a few issues with your laptop, but that's fine. We'll come back towards the end. So now we're going to be speaking with the University of Cardiff, where I am joined by Tia Jade, and she's going to be giving us a little bit more information about the difference between studying in Wales and England. So over you, Tia.
But while it's loading, hi, I'm Tia. I'm a third-year undergrad student studying physics at Cardiff University. I've been here for the last 4 years because I actually took a bit of time out. But I'm just going to be addressing what it's like studying in Wales compared to England. And actually, there's not a huge lot of difference, and that's sort of the main point of this presentation. Yeah, so just for a quick overview, so this is actually a picture of Cardiff Bay. It's one of the many, many different beautiful, like, scenic spots that we've got in Cardiff, which is sort of one of the main attractions to the university campus. First of all, a lot of really lovely spots where you've got this gorgeous scenery, and there's a lot of things to do as well, which I'll go into in a couple of moments. But between Wales and England, there's actually pretty much no difference between studying in either. Location is probably the biggest difference. But student finance does differ slightly as well. I don't have a whole lot of information on it, but I know that with Wales, for example, when we apply for our maintenance loans, we'll get the full amount where it gets split into a loan and a grant, and that differs with student finance England. But beyond that, that's probably the only main difference between student finance in Wales and England as well. But everything that you can expect to see in an English university or a Scottish university is pretty much what you can expect in Wales as well. So in Wales, there's 9 main universities. Cardiff is the only Russell group, so we're the only one in Wales. But in Wales, in Cardiff, we have sort of a cluster of these universities, like in and around Cardiff, that are very nearby. So this is actually a map of all of the universities that we've got. So in and around Cardiff, we have the University of South Wales, Cardiff Metropolitan, the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, and Cardiff University. There's also a hub for the University of Wales, Trinity St David. that's in Cardiff as well. We also have the Open University. And USW has got a campus in Cardiff as well, in the main city centre. So with university, I normally say that Cardiff is student central because there's just so many different people around from various universities. But it's a really, really nice area, and you've still got Bangor, Glyndŵr, Aberystwyth, Swansea, located like fairly close to Cardiff. And it's quite easy to travel between them as well. There's a lot of good railway links and public transport links.
So one of the biggest things that attracts students to Wales is what's listed here on the slide. So we've got a friendly cosmopolitan country. There's often a lot of feedback that we get about it being very good for cycling. We've got a lot of green space and that sort of thing. But the way that the universities as well in their campuses are integrated into the city. We are technically a campus university at Cardiff, but because of how integrated into the city we are at the same time, it doesn't give the same feeling as being at a typical campus university. You've got, depending on where your accommodation is, between a 10 and 25-minute walk into town, into the city centre. There's a lot of there's a lot of things that you can do, and it's just a really, really nice place to be in. We have got very good cost of living help available, and NatWest has actually, for our accommodation, ranked us as the second cheapest in the UK for accommodation. But in terms of pricing, I go between England and Wales quite often for trips, going to see friends who I've made at university, and the price differences for some things it makes me glad that I'm in Wales. And as you could probably tell from my accent, I was born here as well, so I'm very much Welsh at heart. But it's a very, very affordable place to be, and there's a really wide range of cultural things to do. In the heart of the city centre, we've got Cardiff Castle, and there's many other castles as well in Cardiff, around Cardiff, that are easy to get to explore. As I mentioned, Cardiff Bay as well, absolutely beautiful place to visit. We have Barry Island, if any of you have ever watched Gavin and Stacey. We have the Banau Brycheiniog, some of you may know them as the Brecon Beacons. All of this is within like an hour travel of Cardiff, so it's really, really beautiful. We have the Principality Stadium, sorry, I know it is the Millennium Stadium, where we have a lot of sports things going on. We have Utility Arena, where we've got a lot of good music gigs coming up. They also do a couple of sports things during the year as well. But we have more than 30,000 students in total, and most of our students come from over 130 countries. So we're very, very diverse, very cultural. A lot of my friends are actually, if not from England, then from further afield. My flatmate actually was from Nigeria. I've got some friends who've come from Japan and China. Got a few that have come from Sweden. It's like this is so cultural, and it's really, really great to just be a part of, really. And it is beautiful. Like, I'm very biased in saying it, but we have got a dedicated footpath covering the entire coastline, so you can walk across the entirety of South Wales, along the coast, up along West Wales and up to North Wales. It's really beautiful. I've only done the South Wales part of the track myself, but you get to see some absolutely stunning scenery. You get to see how things sort of differ as you go along Wales. Like, it's not just valleys and mountains that some people might expect. There's a lot of really beautiful hidden spots that you get to explore. We've got 50 islands in Wales as well, and mountains. As I mentioned, we have got a lot of mountains. We've got Snowdonia, Eryri, to me, and that's also a protected national park. It is absolutely gorgeous, and that's one of the main attractions for students to come to Wales. Just a lot of the beauty that is there.
And just a little bit about Cardiff University as well. So we're top ranked in Wales at the moment. Our Students' Union is currently second. We sort of dip in and out between first and second place. But most of the other universities, we've been told, have sort of made up or done up their students' union based on a model of ours. So we're bringing a lot of influence to other universities as well. But we've got over 300 graduate courses. We're 11th at the moment in the UK for research impact. And that's one of the things that makes Cardiff particularly special as a Russell Group university, that we're doing very well in research-led courses and research-led teaching. 95% of our graduates also will go into employment or further study after finishing their degree, or they'll do something like travelling. We've got a very good scheme for offering time abroad as part of your study and immediately afterwards in graduate schemes. But Cardiff Uni has a lot to offer. There's a lot of support and just a lot of things to do. And I know that as many opportunities that I've been given, there's still so many more I could easily take advantage of. So there's a lot that the university has to offer and a lot that the city has to offer as well. And again, just a little bit about the city. As I said about accommodation and affordability, we're currently second according to NatWest. And we're also widely regarded as the city with the most castles in Europe, which I haven't fact checked that, but I would love to go in just see how it compares to other places. But we have got a lot of castles, as I said. We are a capital city, and there's actually more green space per person than any UK city. So we've actually got more than 330 parks just in Cardiff alone. And Cardiff is very flat, and sort of the surrounding areas as well is quite flat, easy to get around. So it's very easy to cycle in. We've had a new scheme implementing a lot of different cycle paths to like for the university, for the main city centre, and around it as well. So it's very easy to get around on foot, by cycling, or by public transport. There we are. So I am all done. And if you have got any questions, I think there's a Q&A later on. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Oliver. But if you want to ask anything in the Q&A as well, I know it was a very whistle stop about studying in Wales and England and like what Wales has to offer.
Thank you very much for that, Tia Jade, and thank you very much for that lovely insight into studying in Wales and especially around the Cardiff area. So if you do have any questions for Tia Jade, as she did mention, there is a Q&A button at the bottom. So please do just ask any questions that you do have, but make sure you do just refer to either the name of the individual speaking or the university as well. So moving forward, we're lucky enough to be joined by the University of Southampton, where we'll be speaking with Noble. And Noble's going to be telling us a little bit more about clubs and societies. So whenever you're ready, Noble, it's over to you.
Okay, perfect. Hi guys, my name is Noble. I'm from the University of Southampton. I recently just graduated 2 weeks ago with an undergrad in marketing, and I'll be going back to do a master's at the university in business strategy and innovation management. And today I'm lucky to talk about something that I am very passionate about and that I think I vouch for a lot at my university, and that is clubs and societies that we have. So alongside academics, there is so much more you can do and get involved with at university. And some of the other universities have also covered the importance of clubs and societies. And today I'll be telling you a bit about about my experience and why extracurriculars are as important as choosing university for its course. Now, you might be sat there wondering, now where do I start with clubs and societies? Now, I'll be giving you a couple of places you can start looking at. So first of all, it's the student unions. Now, we heard from the other universities about their student unions, and this is where you can find out a lot about the university, about student life, about what kind of things the university offers. And when you usually go onto university student union page, you'll have a page dedicated to all the clubs and societies they have, you know, whether that be sports, any hobbies you currently do, or any you're looking to try out. So this would be a great place for you to start your research if you're interested in looking and finding out more. But if not, if you're someone like me, I'd highly suggest and recommend you go to open days or attend webinars such as these. Now, open days are done by universities across the country, and it gives you a great chance to go and meet students in person and to talk to them about the subjects, extracurriculars, activities, what kind of things you can expect to do at that university. And sometimes you might be like, oh, it's too far to go, or, should I really go? But think of it as kind of like a day out. So if you're coming to Southampton, for example, make it like a day out with your friends or your family, and kind of explore the city as well while you're there at it. So it's a great way to learn about the city, the campus, and potentially what you could be doing in your years at university. So sometimes you might think, it's not really worth it, but I really highly recommend you go to open days and get your experience from the students themselves. So moving on from this, I would like to tell you about my experience at Southampton and my involvement with clubs and societies. So here are some pictures from my archive of pictures of my 3 years at university. I've been very, very lucky enough to be part of some wonderful societies, made some amazing friends, and some experiences I think I will never forget. So in first year, I went to university kind of blind, because I knew about what there was, but I never had a chance to kind of go to students and, talk to them before going to university, which I think I should have done before going. So Freshers Week was where it all kind of went down. And I kind of decided to go out of my comfort zone, venture out and try new things. So I knew I wanted to continue my hobbies. So I do dance and sports. And this led me to joining the Union Southampton Dance, USD. So there are some pictures from competitions. So we went to Loughborough, we've been to Portsmouth, we've been to Newcastle, Cardiff, the competitions year round. And I've been lucky enough to join cultural societies. So I knew I wanted to join a cultural society. So I joined Japanese Society, Indian Society, Hindi Society, Asian Society, all of these societies in my first year. And in my second and third year, I was a part of committees. So in my second year, I thought, okay, first year was about me trying to venture out, trying to find out about all these societies, if they were for me, if I enjoyed them, if I liked the experience. And second year, I joined several committees. So I was a dance captain for Ghana. So it's like a South Asian dance form. So I was dance captain and social sec for Ghana Society. I was dance captain for Bollywood. Again, it's a form of dance. I was dance captain for that. And I was an events representative for Indian Society. So I did 3 of these roles in my second year. And it was amazing. So I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. I got to run events, meet new people, share my expertise, share knowledge, and learn from all my committee members as well as members within the society. In my third year, I was president. So last year I was president of Indian Society. And this coming year, going into my master's, I'll be doing secretary and social sec for street dance. So as you can tell, I really, really love getting involved with the community here at Southampton. And I think it made my experience so much more enjoyable. I feel like if I hadn't been a part of any societies, I may not have enjoyed my experience as much as I have. And I think Southampton was a great choice in terms of my degree and societies. Now, going on to a bit about our Southampton Student Union, we have one of the largest student unions in the country, with over 350 clubs and societies. And this number keeps growing. So we have committees, societies that are set up, every year, new societies. So if you cannot find a society that you are looking for, or one that you are not particularly drawn to, you can set up one at your time at university. So we have a range of societies, from sports societies to cultural societies, faith societies, to dance societies, to music societies, musicals. And because we're by the coast, we have a vast array of water sports societies and clubs you can join as well. So if you've never done water sports before, if you've never tried it out, this is your chance to do so. So in my first year, I was very, very excited about the fact that we had, a whole ocean and rivers by Southampton. So I was like, I really want to try some water sports. So I tried out sailing in my first year. Decided it wasn't for me because it wasn't worth the early morning start, and I wasn't really great at sailing. But nonetheless, I had an amazing opportunity to try it out, and it'll be an experience that I will never forget. So yes, Southampton is always growing, and you'll find something for you regardless of what you're looking for. Now, I've gone on about the experiences and what you can expect, but you might be wondering, okay, how do I get involved once I'm at uni, or if I'm looking, how can I possibly get involved? Now, the first and foremost place to start would be at bonfires. That is what we call our Freshers Society Days or any fresher events that the university puts on offer. So there will be a week or a couple of days at any university showcasing their societies, their clubs, their activities, their, the whole range of things that you can get involved in at that university. And I highly, highly recommend that you go to these events because it usually only happens during freshers and you don't kind of hear about them for the rest of the year. So I highly, highly recommend you go to these events. Even if it's by yourself, just go to the event, explore the campus, and it's a great chance for you to meet the committees from these societies and ask them about any and all questions that you have about these sports or clubs that is on offer. So here you can find out about trials, taster days, trainings. If you can find out if the sports is competitive, if it's for fun, and about any costs that are involved in joining the society. So like I mentioned, with sailing. Rowing is also another sport that we have in Southampton, and they have very, very early starts. So if it's not something for you, this is a chance to find out about those training times and say, okay, you know what, I might go for 1 or 2 times, but maybe it's not for me. It might not align with your lectures or your other timetable. So this is the place to go. Social media is also a great form of advertisement for these societies, and you can find out about all the information, the upcoming dates on social media as well. But going and seeing them in person, in my personal experience and in general, is a great way because you can meet some familiar faces and they might get to know you a bit better and kind of maybe guide you towards, what kind of training or what kind of like activity that they think might be suited for you. So if it's like dance, you might have beginners, intermediate, advanced. Maybe, sharing your experience might help them kind of recommend you to, oh, we think you might be fit for this category. Why don't you try for this? So do go to these events. They are there to help you, and they're there to give you more insight information on what's on offer. Now, I mentioned about payments, and some societies do have a small membership fee you have to pay to join the society. And this kind of covers the events they do. It kind of allows you kind of first entry into them, maybe like early tickets that are released. It kind of has its perks. And some societies also have discounts with restaurants, bars, and cafes nearby. So within the society, in my 2 years that I was a part of them, we had discounts at Wags, at Pizza Hut, at Casper's, these are dessert places. So at Casper's, Heavenly, we had some deals with All Bar One, Slug and Lettuce. So we had discounts for students that had our membership card, so 10 to 15% off at these places. So that might also be worth checking out if you're kind of looking to join society. Maybe it's not for society itself, and maybe you didn't like it, maybe you didn't find what you were looking for. But if they have perks and discounts, maybe you might stick with them and, think, okay, maybe it could be something that I can look into. Other equipment, other costs that you might have could include things like equipment and kit for sporting activities. It could be society events. So things like we have boat balls, so boats, parties of boat balls at the end of the year. It could be for socials. Some socials might include a small cost, maybe things like pub crawls, or things like going out to like the beach. So we have Bournemouth very, very close to us. So trip to the beach, maybe the train ticket. And some societies, especially sporting societies, they also do tours. So we have tours that run, at the end of the year for many, many societies. So these can be other costs that you could incur while you are at these club and societies. Now, you might be sat there wondering, okay, this is all well and great, but why should I join? What's in it for me? So joining a club society is completely optional for you. No one's forcing you to join. No one's saying, okay, you have to sign up so and so. It's completely your choice. But I think it is something that changes the university experience completely. So it allows you to meet people outside of your course. You meet people from various different backgrounds. You meet plenty of international students. You meet students that of different ages, freshers, first year, second years, postgrads, maybe even PhD students. You get involved with the community at university, and it's an overall experience that enhances your skills that you currently have or develops new ones. So whether that be a society for your subjects, if you're doing, medicine, we have plenty of medical societies. If you're doing business, plenty of social science societies, so it could be a society that enhances your skill set and allows you to, prepares you for the world of work, or it could be a society that develops your soft skills, such as leadership, communication, time management, organization. So it is not something that you can just, join for fun, which you might do initially. but unknowingly, it helps enhance a lot of your other skills, which is great for your place of work or anywhere that you might use them in the future. And another great thing is you create amazing memories with some amazing people. And you get to experience things that you might not necessarily have experienced at school, because at university you are an adult, you get to make your own choices, so you get to experience so many different memories, so many new experiences, and it is, I think, a great experience to have on hand with your 3 years, 4 years, 5 years that you're at university. And if none of this speaks to you, it looks great on your CV. So if you're someone that wants to enhance your CV as well, it looks great on your CV. It is great to show what kind of skills, what kind of leadership roles that you have gained at university. So I highly recommend you joining one. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that was intuitive and informative for you. If there's one thing I could say about this, and if there's nothing you could take away but this, is that I think joining a club or a society changes your experience completely. It allows you to meet so many wonderful people, so many new experiences to be gained. And whether you are someone that is unsure of this, go for it. You can never go wrong. You can always, it's not a full-time commitment. So you can always say, okay, no, that's not for me. But I really, really, really recommend, especially in your first and second year, when you have more time, join as many as you can, because there is no limit to how many you can join. And yeah, whilst you're at it, have fun, enjoy, and make amazing memories. So yeah, thank you. Over to you, Oliver.
Thank you very much for that, Noble, and all of that information about your experiences with clubs and societies and why students should just give them a go. So moving on now, we're going to be joined by the University of Plymouth, where we're actually going to be joined by Alvania, and she's going to be talking a little bit more about workload and how to study. So over to you, Alvania.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alvania, and I'm from the University of Plymouth. I just graduated with BSc in Environmental Management and Sustainability. Today, I'll be talking to you about workload and how to study. So the first thing is that university is different from A-levels and school, where the lecture hours are a bit different. So with school, you'd go in at the start of the day, around 8, and then finish at 3, and that's your normal hours. But with university, lecture hours are between 15 to 25 hours a week. And the rest of that time, you're expected to do independent study. So there's a lot of time management there, where a calendar, for example, would come in very handy, where you're using your calendar to plan in your lectures and your study time and all that. There's also less, as you progress onto your final year, there's less hours in your final year, and that's to allow time for your dissertation. The University of Plymouth is also packed with study spaces. So we have a library. We also have bookable spaces where you could book in for either you want to study on your own in a room, or you want to work in a group, which is also one of my study tips, is to study in groups or in pairs, because that really helps. Often when you're explaining something to someone else, that's when you fully understand it yourself. Also prepare for coursework. So at university, sometimes your course might be more coursework based, but sometimes it might be more exam based. Mine personally was more coursework based, so lots of reports and presentations and lab time as well. So when you have stuff like that, there's no exam pressure, but you do have to plan your time well and make sure you meet your deadlines and make sure you submit really good work at your deadlines. The University of Plymouth also offers help for this. So we have something called PALS, which is peer assisted learning support, where students that are in their second or third year become sort of like your mentor when you're in your first year, and you meet every couple of weeks and you go over what the coursework is, what the exam is going to be, and sort of how they can help you with that. Also, when you come into your first year, you're given a personal tutor. So as you can imagine, lecture theatres are almost always full. Your course might be with 100 students or even more. And so it might feel a bit daunting to ask a question or even to communicate if you need to ask something at all. So then at the University of Plymouth, they separate you into groups of 10 within your course. And then each group is given a personal tutor, and that's your personal tutor for your whole 3 years. In your first year, you meet every Wednesday, and then you progress to your second year and you meet once every month around. And then in your final year, it's whenever you request to have a meeting with your personal tutor. And within your tutor meetings, you go over your coursework, what you need help with, if anything in your personal life, for example, needs discussing as well, if you personally want to bring it up. So that's sort of like your one-on-one moment to really get that support that you need. The university also has a lot of learning assistance available and student support as well. And most of all, you have to remember to take care of yourself and make friends when you come to university. It's a very different experience, as people before me spoke about. You're shopping for yourself for the first time ever. You're cooking for yourself. You're making friends as well, and you have to take care of yourself on your own. So then it's really important to make sure you're on top of things when it comes to that. As Noble mentioned before, joining societies is very important. Your SU, your student union in your university, is the bridge between the student body and the university, and they manage the societies and clubs at your university, and they're sort of in charge of making sure that you're having fun at university and that you have friends and you're making friends. And that's how I made most of my friends. I was part of the Tropical Island Society, where I was also chairperson my final year. And I've made a lot of friends there, friends that really, really have had an impact on my life and that I will remember forever. And they will be my friends for my whole life. And these are very important things to join so that you can make friends and really have these amazing experiences at university. Because if you just do your degree at university and come out with just your certificates, you haven't made the most of your university experience. I've also been a student ambassador for my university, and that's sort of been both a way for me to have fun, but also a way for me to make money at university. So at university, yeah, you would have to manage your workload, and then obviously your social life, but then also how to sustain yourself. And the way I found to do that was through student ambassador jobs, where I've done campus tours or talks for my university. And I've met amazing students such as yourselves, people that come to the university and they want to know more about the University of Plymouth and what university is like. And that's really just made me feel very helpful and has really been one of the highlights of my time at the university, because yeah, you just meet amazing people and get to help people make their decisions for a very important thing in their life. And yeah, it just feels amazing. When it comes to studying, some things that might help you study, cue cards will help you. Writing, for me personally, writing things down makes me remember it. So, and speaking about it as well makes me remember it. So as I said, cue cards, and then studying in groups or in pairs. Reading up on new literature. University is all about papers and reading and published literature. So make sure you're on top of these things. They're very important and will really help you in your degree, and even when you go into work after your degree. Remember to take breaks. Remember to sleep and remember to eat. You're taking care of yourself at university. You're the only person taking care of yourself, so you have to make sure to remember these things. And yeah, make sure to meet your deadlines. My bonus question was sort of what are some of the best things about the University of Plymouth? And I would say, first of all, affordability. Plymouth is way cheaper than a lot of other cities in the UK when it comes to accommodation and even shopping. I've realized, even if it's just a couple pence difference, I've realized a difference. And yeah, that's been a really good thing for me. I'm an international student, and yeah, managing funds and stuff. I need something like that. The location as well. Plymouth is surrounded by the ocean, which I love because I'm from an island country, so that just really makes me feel at home. and water is very calming for people in general. We also have Dartmoor, which is just like 20 minutes that way. We have lots of ponies there, which is really pretty, and you can get really nice sunsets from Dartmoor as well. And also Plymouth is a very student city, so everything is walking distance. You don't often need a car unless you've got too much shopping. You can walk to the Lidl, the Aldi, you can walk to the mall, you can walk to clubs and bars, you can walk to your classes as well, and to your home. Everything is within walking distance, and that makes it very convenient, where I don't have to think about like trying to get a train or a bus to get to my class. I just have to walk and think about the 10 minutes that I need to walk. That's really helpful. And also you meet very genuine people, very passionate people, just in university in general, but I found at Plymouth, because it's a very small place and often people come here for a specific reason. Myself, it's because Plymouth has such a great reputation for its marine courses and environmental courses. It has one of the best labs in the world, not just in the UK or Europe, but in the world. And that's why I came all the way from the Seychelles to come to Plymouth, because of its great reputation. And things like that really attracts people with passion. And yeah, that's been the reason I've come here, and how I've managed my workload, and also my study tips. Thank you very much, and I can't wait for your questions later.
Thank you very much, Alvania. And thank you very much for that answer on workload and how to study. So moving across now, we're going to be joined by the University of Leeds, where we'll be speaking with Sarah. And Sarah's going to be giving us a little bit more information of the cost of living and budgeting. So over to you, Sarah.
Hi, so I'm just going to go share my screen and hopefully everyone can see that. Yeah, so my name's Sarah. I'm a second year dental student at the University of Leeds. So we've chosen to focus on budgeting and the cost of living as part of student life. It is something very important. And it is a concern for students that come to university is, how am I going to budget? How am I going to afford this? So hopefully my presentation can just break that down for you. This slide, I've captured many of the real concerns that you lot might be feeling as you enter your journey into university. So from managing your day-to-day living costs to worrying about avoiding social activities, they're all valid concerns. So for example, like I've heard people say, even with the student loan, a part-time job, I'm not sure it'll be enough. I'm concerned about affording socializing new friends. So we've just broken down some of the common things that I've heard from university students and their worries. So as a student myself, I know these are challenges, and I know it can be stressful knowing how to balance your bills, be able to socialize while making the most out of your university experience ultimately. But on the other hand, there are ways to manage your finances effectively. It's not easy, but with the right strategies, the right resources, and the right support from Leeds, you can navigate those challenges, and they don't seem as daunting as they might do. So today I'm going to discuss what your ongoings might look like as a student, followed by solutions, tips and tricks that I found that helped me manage my money better, so you can focus mostly on enjoying university and making the most of every opportunity. So I'm just going to show you a table, and this table was an estimate for 2024. In terms of budgeting, it's important to plan your finances early so you can enjoy your time at university without constantly stressing about money. So for example, living at Leeds, with it being a north city in the north of England, it's quite cheap in comparison to other universities. So for example, accommodation, you'd be looking around 103 to 261 a week. Household bills, about 13 to 16 pounds, depending. Some like university accommodation and private, they include it. So it just generally depends on you and what type of accommodation you go for. For groceries, toiletries, cleaning products and food, we're looking about 21 to 31. And for personal costs, we're looking around £42 to 63. So weekly, you're estimated to spend around 179 to 371, depending on what you spend. So as you can see, that table really just breaks down what your spending would be like. And while these costs, they do add up,
if you have a budget and know how to stay on top of everything. So for example, I'm going to spend this much money on social activities. They can help you avoid that end of month panic, like, oh my God, I've spent a bit too much on socializing. So with budgeting, it's not just necessarily you restricting yourself. It's about what matters to you, what you prioritize. And for one person, it might be a night out, but for someone else, that might not be their cup of tea. It might be saving up for a trip during the holidays. So budgeting is prioritizing. It's, for example, I'm going to put my rent first, and then I'm going to put my night out after that. So it's what matters to you. So Leeds has great resources. I'm sorry, I've just flipped through. Leeds has some great resources. So if you scan this QR code just at the bottom of the screen, you can find budget calculators, tips to get started. And the more you plan now, the more freedom you have, the more less stress that you have. And yeah, so remember, a good budget will let you balance your needs and give you more control over here with your life in Leeds. So I'm just going to flip through to the next slide, and I'm going to speak about how you can manage your money at Leeds. So if you didn't know, Leeds is in the north, so we are quite cheap, and with it being a north city, it's kind of easy to get your way around, and certain costs can be cheap, for example, rent. So my top tips would be prioritize your expenditure. Personally, what I do is I add up all the money I receive from my student finance, from my job, and then I deduct away my spendings. So, for example, how much I spent on my bills, how much I'm going to spend on my phone bill, how much I'm going to spend on my travel, my rent. And I do this per semester because it gives me an idea of how much I can accommodate spending. For example, if I'm going to go out for a friend's birthday, I will put my money aside for that month for that. And having a budget means that you can do these things and you don't end up splurging on unnecessary items. Another thing which I really loved doing was sharing with your flatmates. When I moved in halls first year, I made a really good group of friends, and sharing with your flatmates makes things so much easier. For example, cooking in batches, splitting Uber fares, or even like moving in, it can be tempting to get all these latest looking dinner sets that are all the same color, and it's tempting. But what worked out well for me and a lot of students is that you share certain items as a flat, and you split the bill for it. For example, a toaster that's not included, or cleaning products. Not only does it save your money, it also makes it easier because you're all kind of helping each other out. Use your student discount, whether it be for your meals, for your drinks, the bill, clothes, register on student beans, register on uni days, and ask at the counter, can I get my student discount? And yeah, it's really good because Leeds is based just off the city centre, so it's really easy to get a hold of everything that you need. Study resources. Do not buy the books on your reading list. University of Leeds has multiple libraries, and it has an online library as well, so you can practically get any book that you want. If you're struggling to get a hold of them, you can look at secondhand, but I wouldn't bother until you've looked at the libraries, because we have multiple massive libraries with lots of books. Get a rail card. Chances are you will be commuting back and up and down the country to visit friends and family. Some banks include them when you join, so look at that. And become a student ambassador. So for me, I'm a dental student, so I was a bit worried because my workload is quite heavy. So I was worried, how would I fit it in? But once I realized that I could be a student ambassador, it is flexible, and I do it according to when I need it. So I feel like, I've got too many labs, I kind of calm it down. So yeah, and we have Job Link as well, which is in the student union in Leeds, which is something we take good pride of, is that we can find a job in the union, which is very convenient. And there's budget-friendly activities. Leeds is not expensive. Going out doesn't have to be expensive. The union has plenty of student-run clubs, plenty of fresh activities. Give it a go before you pay. So financial support. Sometimes it doesn't go as you expected, which is normal. We're all figuring things out. The union, the University of Leeds and the student union, they do have financial access funds. have bursaries depending on mean tested incomes, and they have counselling if you're really just struggling to figure things out. So we're going to you can see that QR code, and if you are interested in joining us in September, which I'd look into, we have courses available in clearing. So if you just scan that QR code, you can register your interest to be the first when our clearing courses are available. So yeah, I hope that broke down to you the aspects of costs as a student, especially here at Leeds. And if you have any other questions, just throw them away in the Q&A section. Thank you. Back to Oliver.
Thank you very much for that, Sarah. And finally, last but not least, when it comes to these quick questions, I wanted to pass back over to Greg. Greg, are you still with us at the moment? Because I realised before that you did have a few technical difficulties. You want to quickly jump back on and give us a little bit more information about studying in Scotland, and then we can finish up with some follow-up questions.
Yeah, I'm back. I promise Stirling Wi-Fi is better than my home Wi-Fi. So yes, degrees in Scotland. So degrees in Scotland are based over 4 years as opposed to the traditional 3 in England and Wales. And that's generally because Scottish universities have what's called a flexible degree structure. So at most universities for an undergraduate, you'll have 2 semesters per year, and each of those 2 semesters, you'll have 3 modules. Now, at a Scottish university, in your first year, you'll only have 1 compulsory module per semester, which means that you'll have room for 2 optional modules. And those optional modules, you can take different courses, and that will vary from university to university. So at Stirling, for example, we can take anything we like from across the university. So say if you're like me, you're studying English, in your very first semester, you'll have 1 compulsory English module, and then you could maybe take an optional module in, say, history or politics or philosophy, for example. But equally, you could also do something in, say, sports management or biology, really whatever takes your fancy. If you're doing something more vocational like medicine, law, engineering, for example, you don't often get the flexible degree structure. It tends to only apply to things that aren't non-vocational subjects. But the good thing about that flexible degree structure, as I'm sure we're all aware, you think, oh my God, what do I want to do when I grow up? And you go to university really wanting to do English, or you go to university really wanting to do history. You start doing history at university and you think, oh my God, this is awful. I hate it so much. That's okay. With the flexible degree structure, because you've taken optional modules, you can actually then switch to that degree program. So say you've gone into university starting English, but you think English is okay, but I really love history, then you can just switch to doing history. Equally with that as well, say you really love doing English, but you also really love history too, you can then do a combined honours in English and history. So it really kind of gives you that flexibility over the first couple of years to just try and do lots of different subjects. So that's kind of the main difference with degrees in Scotland. Universities themselves in Scotland, there's something for everyone, really. If you enjoy living in a big city, you've got universities like Glasgow, the University of Glasgow, University of Edinburgh. Stirling is located just outside of the city of Stirling in a sort of slightly more rural campus, but we're still really connected to the rest of the country. You've also got ones like the University of the Highlands and Islands, the West of Scotland, Abertay, which is located in Dundee. So there's lots and lots and lots if you fancy a big city experience or a smaller city experience, or even much more, say, a student town like St Andrews. So then why did I choose Stirling for my university? Well, it is a lovely campus, as you can hopefully see in the image behind me. So definitely, no matter what university you go to, make sure you kind of go out and explore the local area. The flexible degree program for me was brilliant because it just allowed me to, I obviously went in to do English, but having the ability to do other subjects is absolutely brilliant. If you don't like something that you do, that's okay. I, in my first year, took an English module, a linguistics module, and a philosophy module. Love linguistics, philosophy, not for me. I'm afraid my brain doesn't work in the way that philosophers' brains work. So that was okay. For the next semester, instead of doing philosophy, I did a film and media module instead. So it was just a really good opportunity to get lots of different options and try something new, especially if you think, I really want to try that, but I'm not sure if I like it or not. By all means, go ahead and try it out. Also for me in Stirling, the English Studies degree program doesn't have any exams. It's all coursework based. So when if you're going through clearing and looking at what university to choose, make sure you look at the course itself as well as the university. Sort of how is it structured? What's the assessment? What are the modules like? And I think this is really key. Is for a lot of people, you spend 3 or 4 years at university. Choose the university to suit you. You will be the one that is sitting in the library. You'll be the one submitting the assessments. You'll be the one actually doing the work. I know for a lot of people, it's all about, university rankings and sometimes what university your parents want you to go to. But honestly, choose the university to suit you, because if you suit the university for you, you'll have a much more enjoyable experience while you're there. But also, because English Studies at Stirling doesn't have any exams, that's the way I work better. So it's just kind of knowing as well how you work best. Do you really thrive in the exam pressure environment, or are you much more like me and you like to have a bit more kind of structure to your coursework? But really, studying in Scotland is much the same as any other university throughout the UK, but that flexible degree structure really does allow you to have that kind of greater flexibility. Generally, also Scottish universities, particularly Stirling, for example. Stirling is considered one of the safest student cities in the UK, but also because it's slightly more rural, it tends to be slightly cheaper compared to some of the more city-based universities. So again, that's always just something to take into account, especially when you're doing your budgeting. Look at the different accommodation types, what's in your budget, and maybe that will make a difference as to what university you choose. But that is me for studying in Scotland. So I'll hand back over to Oliver.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Greg. That was brilliant. And we can hear you crystal clear. So thank you very much. So it's 13 minutes past now. We've only got a few minutes left of the session. I'm afraid that we did run over ever so slightly. But firstly, I wanted to say a massive thank you to all 8 panelists for giving a great introduction to their university, as well as a little bit more information. What I'm going to do is, I know we do have a few follow-up questions, so I'm just going to ask all of our panelists, even though it might be a little bit tricky with a few of the questions, just to make sure if they could try and answer these questions within the sort of 60 to 90 second mark, just so that we can get this session done. Also, to everybody who is with us today, to all the participants, if you do have any other questions, this is your time to ask them. So please do fire away in that Q&A function, and every one of our panelists and helpers can help out and make sure that they can answer them for you. So to start things off again, I'm going to be jumping back to the University of Keele, where I'll be speaking with Soham. So in a few words, Soham, are there any placements or study abroad opportunities?
Yeah, so the University of Keele actually has over 100 partners. So when it comes to global opportunities, you can actually go to over 30 countries, I think it is. So of course, this all depends on what course you do, how long the course is, how long the actual, the studies are. But kind of in general, for example, if you're doing law, you can have placements to kind of practice your legal experience, or if you're doing nursing, you're able to go abroad and study over there. But yeah, we offer over 30 different countries, over many different partner universities across the world that you can go to and do whatever you need to do over there according to your course.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that quick answer. So moving across again now to the University of Glasgow, where we'll be joined by Harriet. So Harriet, your question for you is, what is the city like, and is it a good place to live and study in Glasgow?
Hi. Yeah, so I'd say for Glasgow as a city, it's known for being really friendly, for having an atmosphere where it welcomes students from all across the UK. Glasgow itself is really good as well because it's got 4 universities that are based within the city and 3 large colleges. So there's basically students all around you. So there's discounts everywhere for different concerts that are going on, for different night events, whether that's going out to a bar or just going out to kind of meet friends for a late night at a museum, for instance. And Glasgow's also really green, so it's got over 90 parks inside as well. So even though it is a city environment with a lot of cultural opportunities, there's also a lot of chances to either go to different parts within the city or to go and travel outside of the city to places such as Loch Lomond, which are 30 minutes away by train, or to day trips to Edinburgh, which are 45 minutes away by train as well. In terms of whether kind of Glasgow's a good place to go and live and study, I say it absolutely is. Like what was already said by Greg at the University of Stirling, Glasgow also has a flexible degree structure, so you can kind of choose what degree option fits you. And we've got a really friendly and welcoming campus. We've got over 300 societies for you to take part in, whether you're interested in the ultimate frisbee, Shrek, for instance, or an academic society. So there's always something to fit your needs. And there's a lot of part-time work as well available at the university, both as a student ambassador like myself, or for other jobs in shops, cafes, and other places and the likes. So it's a very good place to have a lot to do, but it's also very easy to go at home in Glasgow quite quickly. So yeah, that's all. I'll pass it back to Ola.
Thank you very much for that answer, Harriet. So moving across again to Greg at the University of Stirling. So Greg, I know that this one's quite tough to answer in a few words, but how did you meet people at university? And what are the best ways to connect with fellow students?
So I met most people at university through the clubs and societies, which, a lot of people have talked about. They've talked about them extensively. It really is a crucial way to get to know people at university. So at Stirling, we've got about 135 societies, and including the sports clubs as well, ranging from things like the Law Society and the Philosophy Society, through to things like Doctor Who societies, a Dance Society, we've got a Disney Society. So that's how I met people. Now, going to that first society meeting, you will absolutely be, pardon the expression, crapping your pants. That's absolutely fine, because every single other first year is probably in the same boat. So that's kind of how I met people, was through the clubs and societies. If you're in accommodation, you've kind of already got a kind of inbuilt network of people. But honestly, clubs and societies are by far the best way to meet people with shared interests. And that has become my friendship group. So in the first couple of weeks, just try out as many societies as you can, because it will make your time at university so much more fun. And that's me.
Thank you again for that, Greg. So moving forward now, we'll be joined by the University of East Anglia. We'll be starting with Dara. So Dara, a question for you is, what bursary, scholarships or fee waivers are there, and how do you actually apply for them?
So at UEA, bursaries range from £800 to £2,500, and these are based on household income. So when you're applying on student finance, if you decide that you want to let your university know, the university will know. They will automatically award you the bursaries if you're eligible. So these bursaries can be used for campus fees, campus accommodation, university fees, or you can also get them in cash as well. So you don't have to apply if you choose to let your university know. They will automatically give you a little email and let you know. In terms of scholarships, we have so many different scholarships available. These range from academic scholarships for different subjects. We've got music scholarships and a lot of sports scholarships. We also have scholarships for international students and study abroad as well. And on our website, we have a scholarship finder. So if you wanted to find a specific scholarship or find ones that you're eligible for, you just have to filter through and input your details and see what's available. Also, some scholarships might require like an application. So you might need to write like an essay or a video entry or an audition, but UEA has all of this information on their website.
Great question, thank you. There's so many different job opportunities. I'm a student ambassador, and likewise with a lot of my other fellow students. It's something that the university really prides itself on, and there's always vacancies open for it. They're always after many student ambassadors from as many of the courses as we've got. And it's a good way for even just like going out for a couple of hours, like 2 to 3 hours doing the talk and campus tours, good way to get a little bit of money when we have it. We also have Job Shop, which is a scheme where the university can place advertisements and external companies as well, asking for help. It's all paid work, and it's always national living wage or above. So I've actually got a part-time job now at Utilisa Arena in Cardiff, and I got that through Job Shop. I was doing these one-off shifts with them, and the managers picked up on my consistency there, and they were like, "Oh, well, we've got some vacancies coming up. Do you want to apply?" And there's many other companies that will do that as well. Principality Stadium will often advertise there, especially when the rugby games are happening in the Six Nations. But there's a lot of jobs available on campus within the Students' Union, a lot of bar work for the club nights and for our student club tab that we've got. They'll often advertise during democracy weeks. We have Speak Week, we have the Student Union elections. So they'll ask for student helpers just to, make people aware of what's going on, and that's also paid. There's a lot of different opportunities that will go up on Job Shop. Yeah, there's so much work. And with the city centre being so close, if there's something that you can't find on Job Shop, there's something in the city centre that will suit you.
Thank you again for that answer, Tia Jade. So moving across now to Noble at the University of Southampton. So Noble, in a few words, do you have any advice for balancing studying, working and social life?
Great question. So I think first and foremost thing is to get a calendar or a diary if you do not have it already. If you're someone that's used to writing things down or noting things down, that's great. But I highly recommend either on Google Calendar, if you like it on digital, or a physical diary or a calendar. Because in first year, it might not be as, you might not have a lot going on. But by the time you're in second, third year, fourth year, however many years you study at university, your workload and your social life and your work will kind of build up. So a lot of the other universities mentioned, a lot of us do student ambassador work, a lot of us are involved in societies. And if you decide to take up more than one role, there will be clashes and there will be times when you have to say no to one thing and yes to another. So best piece of advice, if you have not started already, have some form of calendar or diary with you at all times. So I have one on my phone, I have a Google Calendar, and I have a physical diary, because it will really, really help you, especially during exam periods when exams come up. You might also have commitments with your societies that you might have to put at a backlog and say, guys, I have exams coming up, can we do this date and that date? So yeah, start getting into the routine of noting things down in a diary or a book, because in the long run, it will be your best friend and you will look back and it will help you tons and tons.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Noble. I've just realised I was going to pass over to Alvania at the University of Plymouth, but I just realised that you did actually answer that question on what are the best things about studying at Plymouth when you answered the first one. So thank you again for that. So we're going to be moving on to the final question, where we're going to be joined by Sarah at the University of Leeds. So Sarah, what's a typical day like as a student at Leeds University?
It varies, because I think everyone else covered this. In uni, you don't have as such like school-like timings. So it varies on depending if I have lectures, if I have labs. So usually I get up for around 7, plenty of time to get ready, cook my scrubs if I need to have my scrubs for my lab session. And then I head out, and with Leeds, really good because all the student accommodations are really close to the campus. So it takes me about 10 minutes walk to get to the dental school. And then depending on if I have a clinical session or if I have lectures, so if I have a clinical session, I head into the changing rooms, get changed in my scrubs. And usually that session lasts till about 12:30, where I have lunch. I usually take my own lunch sometimes, or I like to go to the refractory, which is in the union, and they really they have food at a good price and good meals, something for everyone. And then from 1 o'clock to 5:30, I have labs, clinics, and it finishes at 5:30, where I head home. Whereas sometimes if I have lectures, for example, I might have a lecture at 10 to 2, and then if I have that, I like to catch up with my other lectures by going to Laidlaw Library, which is one of my favourite libraries to study at Leeds. Just because it's such a nice library. It's got really big windows, nice open space to study there, and it has a cafe neuro downstairs, so I can get a coffee whenever I feel like I need a bit of a break. And yeah, when I finish, I like to go back to my accommodation, make dinner, and chill out with my flatmates, and or spend time going out. and I set aside some time for taking care of yourself, which is very important because ultimately at university, you've only got yourself to look after, and you want to make sure you're fit and well. And I spend having some time to wind down and catch up with anything else that I need to for tomorrow. So the day depends on what you have, whether I am working as a student ambassador that day, if I have a day off, if I have something to catch up on. Not for my course, but I know Leeds Wednesday afternoons, it's a general afternoon off for everyone. So it generally depends on what you have that day. And yeah, I'd say life as a student at Leeds is quite interesting. Thank you very much, Oliver.
Thank you for that, Sarah, and thank you to all of our panelists for today. It's been a really great session, learning all sorts about what student life is, from accommodation, what it's like actually studying at different universities across the UK, whether that's in Scotland, whether that's in Wales, and also just finding a little bit more out about societies and things like budgeting, which are really essential things when it comes to university that we don't always get to speak about. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to these 8 panelists from all of our universities, taking time out of their day to actually give us some more information about what their lives have been like while studying. It's been a great session. As I mentioned at the beginning, this session has been recorded. So for those who maybe want to go back, there's a certain point where you wanted a little bit more information from it, or possibly wanted to show it to a parent, guardian, or friend who wasn't actually able to attend today. That will be available on our website, which is studentstream.co.uk, and that will be available at some point next week or at some point in the future. But if you have been registered to this event, we'll make sure that we'll be sending it across to all of you anyway, so you have got access to that. If there is anything else, guys, one quick bit of advice for me: if you've got any questions related to admissions or anything to do with the actual process of getting into university, do go through the university website that you are most interested in and make sure to speak to that admissions team or possibly the student recruitment team. Apart from that, if you have got any other information, please do come through us at UK University Search, and we'll do everything we can to direct you in the right way. So that's me, Oliver. Thank you very much for letting me be the host for today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope you enjoy the sun wherever you are. Many thanks. Bye-bye.